things a lot more simply. And this topic, which is pretty much difficult for a lot of people from a programmatic space, I think we would look at things from a simplified manner, because a lot of our clients, in terms of I think challenges, even now, for example, just to let you know, even on Intel, we are facing this very challenge with our client. Clearly, they have told us कि हमको नहीं करना programmatic for the extra cost that we are paying in. And you and I think we went through the entire PNG conversation also, where we did see a lot of apprehension. So yeah, the floor is open, and team, I would request to keep it as interactive as possible. And unless Aruni, you have something in mind, you're putting it together, or you're keeping it pretty much like an.
So if it is not an interactive session, I have nothing. I mean, then it's not a session in itself, because
Yeah.
um, the whole idea was to keep it like a 1 hour open session wherein we talk about issues, challenges, doubts, and questions we are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The practical problems wherein there could be a possible way to approach it differently, or get to know a new aspect which we may not have explored so far. So that's the whole idea. And well, I mean, the only thing I would say before the start of this session is I would have rather called this a matchmaking session than a programmatic session, because that's ultimately what programmatic is. I mean, let me know if you just want me to start with, because uh, the forum consists of people who may not be dealing with digital and digital related problems on a day-to-day basis, while our thought process is integrated, but this is slightly more technical in nature. So let me know if you want to start me with the very basic of how this works and what it is actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aruni,
Aruni,
जैसे हम
please. हाँ,
जितना बेसिक
please.
स्क्रैच से स्टार्ट कर सके ना, उतना बेटर है.
एकदम layman term में, I'm a non-digital person, so एकदम बेसिक से आप स्टार्ट करो. आई नो प्रोबेबली फॉर मेनी पीपल इट वुड बी लाइक ऐसे मुझे पता है ये वापस क्यों हो रहा है, बट पीपल लाइक मी हु कम्स फ्रॉम अ नॉन डिजिटल बैकग्राउंड वुड लव टू आप एकदम एक बेसिक बता दो ये क्यों करते हैं, व्हाट इज द रीजन वी डू इट, व्हाट आर द इम्पोर्टेंस, एंड ऑल दैट. Probably that will also help us even understand and ask you more questions in that direction ki. Okay,
Sure, I'll try and become as basic as possible. So if you look at media as an ecosystem, and I'm not even talking about programmatic, there are two key elements to it. There is an audience, and then there is a medium or a channel, and ultimately what happens is we figure out ways, we find ways to take the relevant audiences, match the relevant audiences and the relevant mediums, so that when we communicate with our audience, it is of some meaning, some sense, or it impacts him in some manner. If we go by that basic of media and apply the newer aspect which digital brings in, which is data and technology, programmatic is nothing but a combination of these three. We are predominantly talking about matching, selecting and matching audiences with the technology to offer or talk to him something which is of meaning, which is of either meaning to him, or which can create some impact for what I want to talk to him about. uh well, and digital is predominantly done two ways. There is a traditional way of doing digital, which is nothing but an extension to how print gets bought. There is a real estate, there is a I mean, like in print, you have a print real estate, you go and buy that. There is an assumption that there are the kind of people you'd want to talk to uh, are going to read that, and with that assumption we do our print ads. And the traditional way of digital is essentially an extension of that. There is a website out there, or there is an app out there, or there is a screen real estate which you'd go and buy, assuming that your audience is reading that or consuming that, thereby being able to thereby trying to be relevant with your audience, with whatever you're trying to communicate. What programmatic does is it automates that process. Yes, there is a real estate out there. Yes, there are audiences out there, but it takes away the manual intervention. So it does is, so imagine a typical traditional marketplace. Uh, even a floor of a mall, wherein you enter, you see many kiosks with products and offerings with the prices being displayed. You have gone there with an intent to buy, and you would go and interact with that kiosk only when you see that this product and this price is of my interest. That's exactly what happens in a digital marketplace. There are uh, there are I'll talk about the elements there, but understand there are two parties. There is someone selling an ad inventory with certain attributes. There is a buyer out there who's trying to show an ad to an audience, or to an intended audience who has certain attributes. Every time there is a match, the ad gets shown to him. So in a programmatic scenario, there is something, the publisher or someone who's on the selling side, he has something known as a SSP, which is a supply side platform, and a brand or an agency or an advertiser for that matter has something which is known which has something which is called a DSP or a demand side platform. So the demand side platform sends out a request that I would want my communication to be shown to someone who's between the age of 25 to 45, who could potentially who lives in Mumbai, who has certain behavioral attributes, like he could be a sports enthusiast or a news reader or a news enthusiast, or could be in market for certain products and services like an auto, or say an appliance or something. This is the request which the demand side platform or the platform which the DSP has sends out. The supply side platform then says that, I mean, there are many of them, because there could be, it's a marketplace, right? It could be a Times of India who says that I have this audience, or I have this audience, and I have the real estate wherein you can place your ad for this audience. Then there could be a Daily Hunt who would come and say that I also have this the I my audiences with the same attributes, and I have a real estate you can come and place my ad at. So there'll be multiple offers being made, and then what the DSP then plays his ad at is, what is the most efficient cost at which the most attributes are getting matched. Thereby, you place your ad in a place which is relevant, matches the desired attributes you'd wanted to show your ad to, and is the most efficient. That's broadly how a digital programmatic ecosystem works, or I mean, for that matter, any biddable ecosystem works. Was that any confusion, any questions? Was that clear?
Clear so far.
Okay. So if that's how, I mean, if that's the basic of any biddable ecosystem, and by the way, all programmatic platforms or all programmatic ecosystems are biddable platforms, but not all biddable ecosystems are programmatic, and we'll talk about that. Why? Maybe that will come through some of the questions. Uh, what programmatic really helps us do is uh, choose our audiences better. So there is a lot more attributes, there is a lot more deeper insight we'll be able, I mean, we're able to get around our audiences. We get multiple sources of audiences. So when I talk about sources of audience, within the digital ecosystem, there are three kind of audiences, and Anil, I think, during his session also spoke about this at length. You have something known as a first party audience, which is your own audience. You would have acquired it via various manners. It could be the cookies and the device IDs which you would have collected via your presence or your promotions. It could also be there in a physical form, which could be converted into a digital form, but that's the data you own. Then there is a second party data, which is a partner's data or your a publisher's data, which is dedicated for you. Uh, uh, and then there's the third party data, which is everybody else's data, publishers, aggregators, data management platforms data, which is out there for you to buy and bid. Programmatic enables or gives us one platform to choose between all the three data layers or data cohorts, uh, applies machine-based learning and artificial intelligence to keep uh, talking to that audience in a most relevant manner, so that your advertising is getting targeted to the I mean, there's a precision, it is being precisely targeted to the audience you want to talk to. So that's programmatic in a nutshell. Any questions? Anything you would want me to talk about which you may not have understood so far?
This is clear. I just generally wanted to ask how to tackle this question when the client says that for programmatic, because of the tech fee that and what fee that we are paying to Google, there is an extra cost, so hence I'm okay living without it also. So how to tackle that?
Plus, I
So
like to add that, Aruni, sorry, before you start
Yeah.
answering, she also, I mean, the client also says that when you do it directly with the publishers, you get better deals and
Hmm.
you get better servicing from them. That does not happen via programmatic. So these are two main concerns.
And
Okay.
Aruni,
So
one more thing.
yeah,
Sorry.
sure. Sorry.
So when you buy inventory via, any programmatic tool, so there is no guarantee of getting a certain space. For example, if a client says that, I want to run my ad on ATF only, right?
Mhm.
You don't get the space because
Yeah.
programmatic does what programmatic does is they run your ad on the homepage and ROS wherever the space is available, but they don't give you a guarantee to place a ad on a certain places. So how can we solve that issue?
Okay. So
Because
I'll
whenever we
and
buy any ad via direct publisher, we get
yeah.
a certain placement that okay, I have to run a ad on a ATF 300 by 250 on Times of India, let's say,
mm,
right?
mm, sure. Okay, so I note your question, Prem, but I'll answer that. But I'll first come to and believe me, both these questions, what you asked and what Megha uh, asked, are somewhere connected. That what we are buying and how we are buying within procurement. Uh, so you could actually Megha do everything what you would do outside of the platform. Megha and Prem, we could do everything we do outside non-programmatically in programmatic. So when we talk about programmatic, there are multiple buy types and there are multiple activities you could do. So I'll start with something which is just a progression to how traditional digital is being bought. If you do a IO based deal, what you do is you'll go to a publisher, say that I would need your homepage ATF property 300 by 250, or I would want to take a homepage takeover for 7 days or one day, depending on what the brief is. You could do that programmatically, and that's called programmatic direct. Instead of doing that direct, and I'll tell you why one should do that later, but instead of doing that, all that you can do without programmatic is possible programmatically, barring very little native and something which are hard coded, or something which does not follow the standard creative norms or non-standard creative size. Most of them are possible, but there are few which are not possible. But all ATFs, all mastheads, all innovations, or I would say most innovations are possible programmatically, via programmatic direct campaigns. The second buy type you have there is called programmatic guaranteed. Again, imagine you going to say a Sony Live and saying that I would want to talk to male 25 and 44 in Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and I would want to, you know, choose your top five programs. What they do is they reserve, when they do it directly, them when you do it with them directly, they reserve that inventory for you and run that for you. The same thing can be replicated on programmatic via programmatic guaranteed campaigns. So you call out the parameters that these are the targeting parameters I have. I would want my a deal to be pushed to my DSP, wherein I would want to talk to these audiences with these specific placements. That's a possibility via programmatic guaranteed campaigns. The third one is called a PMP, which is a programmatic, a private marketplace. Again, if your placement is not so much of a concern, then you would want to go after, say, first party. If you have a first party audience and you would want to push that audience, say, on a Times of India, that every time my first party audience is visible on timesofindia.com, I would want my ads to be shown to them. That those private marketplaces can be created via PMP campaigns. And the last one is Open Exchange, which is nothing but an extension of how any how your GDN or Google Display Network campaign would work, wherein you have audiences and you have some broader guidelines and placements, and every time there's a match and those placements are also getting adhered to, your bid your bid is successful, your ad will be shown, but it is not as stringent as the kind of placements you would have restricted your communications to in the first three ones, which is programmatic direct, programmatic guarantee, and PMP. Megha, now coming to your question, when you look at a combination of this, I mean, typically, if a client says that I don't want to do number one, programmatic is, you can't treat this as a 2 month campaign. The best use of programmatic is when it runs for a longer period of time and most preferentially on an always on mode. When you look at combining your complete digital media buying within, say, programmatic guarantee, programmatic direct, and marketplaces, you'll see efficiencies start coming in, and the efficiencies to the extent that uh, it will be. I mean, I have witnessed efficiencies being 30-40% better than what you would do outside of programmatic. But obviously, you'll have to give it the time and the necessary time to learn, the machine the time to learn, and your how you're placing your campaigns, how you're mapping your campaigns. For example, uh, if there's a launch, and I'm just taking an example of a launch and sustenance campaign for 3 months. If you were to launch, you would, and say within the digital realms, you would look at impact properties, you would look at mastheads, you would look at your communication to be placed in, say, top five publications wherein your audience is there. uh, that's You start with that. You and on that, when you do a and you would do that with a programmatic direct and a programmatic guarantee, what you do is you pay not 9, 8, and 9%, which you do on an open exchange or a PMP deal, but just about 4% extra, which is a tech fee. That 4% typically, and then when you're negotiating with the publisher, in most cases, uh, that 4% can, while the platform charges, you could possibly negotiate it that, I would cut this 4% from you, looking at the deal. I mean, that 4% efficiency at times is possible to get basis negotiations. Come to then your long tail, wherein you're doing a mid funnel and a bottom funnel via say affinity based targeting and a remarketing. If you run this campaign for 3 months, say if you start at 50 rupees CPM for a in-market campaign and 30 rupees CPM for a remarketing campaign, at the beginning, and you run it for 3 months, and you're paying 9% on both of these. Uh, at the end of the 3 month, it has the potential, and if we optimize it properly, it has the potential of one, the CPMs coming down drastically by 30-40%. Second, the effectiveness it can show in terms of the deliverables, because you are able to talk to a larger audience, a better audience, an audience which you identify, which you are able to track in a much better manner with more targetable attributes. It will also be a way more effective delivery. And when you combine your effectiveness and efficiency which you drive, which you're able to, and obviously the negotiations which you do for PG and PD deals, it is in most cases on long-term deals, it is way more efficient than when you run it directly or non-programmatically. Uh, the third question I heard is of servicing. Uh, Publishers would continue to service the client in the agency. If you buy, the only place they'll not service you is if you're doing a open exchange campaign wherein they have no control. But as long as you're doing a PG or a PD campaign, which you would typically do directly as well, they have, I mean, it's direct revenue going to them, so there is no impact on servicing. They would continue to look up to the client and the agency for business,
ये
thereby the servicing.
अरुणी, ये हमारे वालों ने ये क्वेश्चन इसलिए पूछा है क्योंकि इंटेल में क्या होता है ना, द एंटायर बिडेबल इज टेकन केयर बाय एपीजे सिंगापुर आई प्रोस्पेक्टिव. तो होता क्या है, which is why we are asking this question, and this feeler even the client has की control of the publisher instead of having with us goes to the APJ team sitting out of Singapore.
In terms of daily executions, in terms of deal coming in, deal coming out, and optimization. But what deal? What publisher? See, while the seat may be located at Singapore, but I'm sure the plan and the approach gets created locally, right? And only when no,
नहीं,
acha, so
नहीं
acha, we
बना.
have no control. So that's a very different
हाँ, scenario, हाँ,
scenario.
इसलिए.
उसपे कुछ क्योंकि because if you have no control, then not just programmatic, fair anything which happens out of a remote location, or which the client
Yeah.
which is beyond client's control, they'll have concerns. उसपे, I mean, it's a very different scenario
Different
altogether.
scenario. दूसरा मुझे एक चीज बता, while there are two more questions on the this cost perspective, client अगर counter question ये करे कि भाई 40% जो तो मुझे efficiency दिखा रहा है उतना तो मैं 9% 4-5% उतना तो मैं extra already pay कर रहा हूँ. So is it like really I'm really getting some efficiency or not?
No, you will. But, so let's be very honest with the client in such discussions, that if you're expecting efficiency to be driven in 1 month, no, please don't take it, because that's not what it is meant for. But if you have a long-term view, if you're looking to invest for at least 6 months, because that's the 3 to 6 months, that's the time I'll be able to start delivering efficiencies and effectiveness both. And let's then talk at the end of those 3 months with a pre and a post analysis, that what is the efficiency you've got, what is the incremental effectiveness you have got, and where does this stand against the 4% or the 9% you're paying. The other thing which is extremely important is consolidation, your media consolidation. And when you put everything programmatically,
Yeah.
the single view of all your campaigns in one dashboard. I don't know, in one dashboard, and the benefits of something like, say, um, frequency suppression. For example, if you're doing a imagine a situation that you're running direct campaigns at 5 places. You're doing so you have a frequency of 5 running on 3 OTT platforms. You have a frequency, you have three impact properties, which is running with really open targeting, and so no frequency capping and anything. And then you have GDN campaigns and meta campaigns running with a frequency of 5 per month. And we all know there's significant duplication between the
Exactly. Yeah.
three places. So your effective frequency goes into 5 plus 15 plus 5, vis-a-vis a programmatic, consolidated programmatic approach, wherein you know that I will not be able to restrict frequency, say on OTT platforms, because there's I've bought a 3 ka frequency ka plan, but because I'm targeting this audience with a 3 ka frequency on OTT, on my open exchange, can I and is the same audience I'm targeting, can I reduce my frequency to 2, so that your overall campaign level frequency gets reduced to 5 and it does not get wasted? Even those discussions are extremely meaningful for the client, because the moment we talk about us being able to control wastages and spillages, it'll get them interested.
What's our
Prem, you had a
opinion?
question.
Ramesh, my question is, so when you have, let's say, your own platform, let's say GDN and Meta, which provides an, reach to, which provides to buy an inventory. Let's say if you want to buy a QI inventory via GDN, you can buy that, right? By
Yeah.
placing a attribution of targeting parameters, and
Mm.
same way you can do via programmatic as well. So want to understand,
They're not the same.
how.
Prem, they're not the same.
Yeah.
Prem, when I started at the beginning, that GDN is a biddable platform, and even most programmatic, and I'll talk about the DSPs and the what DSPs we have and the best DSPs and all of that. But most programmatic platforms are biddable as well. But what differentiates programmatic from, say, a typical GDN based approach is your access to audiences. If you compare GDN audiences, and if you compare even the kind of cohorts available for third party audiences, you'll see the difference there. Number two, programmatic will give you access to uh, non so on GDN, what you get access to is third party audiences of Google, or which are categorized by Google. But if you don't see results coming in basis those third party cohorts, and if you need to expand yourself to other DMPs like Blue Kai or Eliotami, or if you'd want your second party audiences to be pushed to your DSP, so that you're able to target that, GDN won't be able to help you there. The second thing is GDN. Again, you are comparing GDN and programmatic, when from a open exchange standpoint, when you have audiences and you have placements, and you match that, and you get a result out of it. Programmatic actually is a combination of more audiences than what GDN is able to give you, more buying avenues. In GDN, you'll not be able to buy for reach. You'll not be able to buy, I mean, all your entire funnel based objective and their KPI based buys are not possible. In programmatic, you can buy for reach, you can buy for visits, you can buy for conversions, you can buy for app downloads, and whatever your KPIs could be. The second thing is, of course, the access to inventory. You yourself said that a lot of inventories are not possible in GTN, but when you're buying programmatically, you could do a programmatic direct, thereby getting all impact properties. You could do a programmatic guarantee, thereby getting specific placements with a combination of the audience you'd want to reach out to, and then you have open exchanges. Hope that answers your question.
Aruni, hi.
Yeah.
Aruni, it's a simple, as far as I feel, it's a digital questions. Do we have any third party, tool or something which we can find out which placement is better in a certain website or something like banner ad or a pop-up ad or whatever?
नहीं, ऐसा तो I mean, there is, in my knowledge, there is no such tool which which can compare placements within websites and tell that and create a generic rule that these placements are better. It would differ uh, from client to client, objective to objective, website to website, publisher to publisher. For example, basis whatever learnings and whatever experiences all of us have, we know that um, in today's digital ecosystem, if I need to do if I need to do a awareness campaign, I can't ignore videos. And within videos, the learning which we've accumulated is what is the where are the audiences? I mean, what are the places wherein video plays on mute? What are the places wherein video and I can optimize for a better completion rate? What are the places will give me better reach? So these are learnings which we got accumulated. I don't think there's a tool which will be able to tell us that what placement should we aim for. But yes, we can set up say guardrails like if it is awareness, most of my impression should be targeted towards videos. If it is a mid funnel campaign, if I'm trying to get visits, videos only may not deliver on the objective. You'll have to look at display and social, and if it is conversion, then of course you'll have to couple your display efforts with remarketing efforts, look at affiliates and so on and so forth. I mean, those are the kind of guardrails you can set, but I don't think there's a tool.
Fair enough. Yeah.
uh there are there anything on the chat?
हाँ काफी है.
देखा. Akila, in order to take care of the brand safety aspect, it's always necessary to create a whitelist of when partnering with external publisher. Are there any other way to ensure brand safety? So there are two ways. One is internal, the one what you've written that we should ideally have, and most agencies, most advertisers have their own list of whitelists. Again, if not in terms of publishers, but in terms of categories. There are brands who today comes and say that no matter how many audiences are there, I would not want to be seen in a political scenario anywhere the politics getting decided. We have one of our clients sitting here who says that no matter what you're doing, I don't want to be seen within the news ecosystem. Praveen, H&M, that's H&M for you. I can't have any association with any kind of news. Strange but true. uh, so there are whitelists, but more than that, we'll have to look at brand safety and uh, fraud restriction tools like a IS or a moat. It is always advisable that most brands should either use a moat or a IS, which not only ensures brand safety beyond the set guidelines or be in the whitelist which has been created manually, but also helps in controlling ad fraud. That ad fraud is a real menace, and we have one of the sessions coming in, uh, and probably during that you'll realize that on our existing lives, on our existing day-to-day lives, how much of how much of the client monies are getting lost to ad frauds. So controlling that becomes an internal. So there are BAV tools, brand safety and fraud detection tools, which should always apply.
Hi Aruni, thank you for answering that. So, does DD360 ad serving, ad tracking data, as in the brand safety aspect of it, is it also interlinked to programmatic, or is that a separate entity to ensure brand safety?
No, so the role of DCM or any ad server for that matter is very different. While they're interlinked, I mean, when you look at a programmatic ecosystem, they play a crucial role. But you could use a DCM or any other ad serving tool, even non-programmatically as well. So there are some brand safety. I mean, if I understand your question correctly, there are some brand safety measures which are already built into some of these ad servers, but they do not really. I mean, that's not their core competency. So it is while they'll be able to report viewability, or if you set out rules of brand safety, they'll be able to adhere to that while serving an ad. uh, uh, you would need a tool dedicated for that job, which is a better job, because otherwise the DCM alone is not able to identify all brand safety parameters or all viewability parameters. Uh, if that answers.
Got it, got it. I just have one last question. In a lot of so I belong from the offline background for most of my, but of course, in a lot of digital conversations floating around me, I heard this word a lot when people are talking about programmatic, called something known as attribution model, and
Mhm.
how it is linked to the full funnel planning when we do. So, can you throw some light on that, please?
Sure. This is interesting, I one example comes to me instantly. So I
I've
got
also
up one morning. I got
yeah,
up one morning, and that's I'm just trying to explain attribution. So imagine someone like me gets up one morning, doesn't have breakfast, uh, eats his lunch really late, and eats really junky, oily food. Uh, Eats because he didn't have his breakfast. Eats a lot more than what he usually eats. Uh, then in the evening, he again goes out with his friends, eats outside, eats junk food, and comes back home. He's really full. Drinks a glass of milk and sleeps. The next morning, he gets up. He has a upset stomach and all. And so if that was his day and the last meal he had was a glass of milk, can we blame his upset stomach for the glass of milk he had night, or everything he did since morning the previous day had a role to play? That's attribution for you. Imagine, I mean, you have activated all aspects of digital. Your search is on, your display is on, your video is on, your performance campaigns are on. So I, as a user, get exposed to video first. I mean, I was looking something, I was watching something in YouTube, and I saw an ad of a particular brand that somehow looked interesting to me. uh, and then when I was doing my news surfing, I saw another banner being served, and that looked okay. So I, out of inquisitiveness, clicked, went to the site, but I really didn't have time to spend there. So I closed the website and moved on. I forgot about it. Uh, in some time, there's another remarketing ad which got appeared, which reminded me, हाँ मैं उस site पे गया था, but कुछ तो देखा था, वो interesting लगा था, but I don't really remember, and I don't have time to do that. But by this time it has got registered in my mind that that what I saw there was interesting. So when I had time, I would come, type in the name of the website if I remember that, or go to Google search and search for it. Would not click, for whatever reason, would not click on a paid ad, but would click on an organic ad, go to the site, and I'll do the transaction. This one, the site wants me to transact. In this whole journey, when we look at, I mean, if we are not using attribution, what will come across is that this user came to the website all by himself, or either directly or organically, and converted. If we don't use attribution, we'll not be able to know that where did he discover the brand, how did he get influenced, and what got him to the website where he came and converted.
So
And
basically, it is throwing
sorry,
light only on the lower funnel aspect that the person came,
not no,
clicked,
not just low funnel aspect, not
and
just low funnel aspect. What it is throwing an aspect, and of course, I took an example of a conversion. You can take any other example at the last funnel, but what it is throwing a light on is For that last action to happen, you need to be doing, imagine you being able to accumulate this data at scale and go back to your clients saying that for these many conversions or for these many actions to happen at the bottom, this is where the brand discovery happens, which could probably a display or a video platform. So, and if you don't invest there, the trickle down effect, this pathing will not get followed, and your conversions will not happen. And even if you're sitting on data wherein conversion is happening, that is because they were aware, you had made them aware 3 months ago, and they've taken this 3 months time to do their research and convert right now. You will have a pool which will the watery hole will dried up in some time. So you know, to again go back to the top of the funnel and and of course engage with him during the funnel, which is what we call mid funnel, for your bottom funnel to keep looking healthy.
Correct.
Is Does that sound full funnel to you?
Yeah, very well explained actually. I think the real life example really added, enhanced the whole explanation. So thank you very much.
uh, what's the most popular purchase model in programmatic? CPM, CPC, or CPA? Well, CPA is a most desired buying model, but most in most cases CPA as a buying model is not available. I mean, it's really, you could optimize for acquisitions, but you may not be able to buy for conversions or sales or acquisitions. Between CPC and CPM, again, depends on what is the objective. If it is awareness, if it is upper funnel, it is CPM. You could also buy CPC or CPV based on or CPCV in some cases, cost per completed video view in some cases. Depends. I mean, there's nothing about being popular or being most in demand. It is as per the objective. If you could also throw some light on DSP, DMP, ad networks, ad exchanges, and their connections with programmatic. Okay. DSP, DMP, ad exchanges are connected. Ad networks are not. So I've spoken about, if you remember where I begin from, I spoke about DSP. So DSP is basically the I mean, it's the tool the publisher, or sorry, it's the tool the advertiser or the agency has through which they buy ads. So what it does is it calls out his requirement in the marketplace, saying, I am wanting to buy a product which is red in color, which is of triangle in nature, which is made out of cloth and which could potentially cost $50. That's what DSP does. Then there is something known as the SSP, which I said is at the publisher end, which says that yes, I have this product. I mean, there are multiple of them who would come and say that yes, I have a product of exact this description. Would you want to buy? DMP is basically a place where your data gets stored. It's a data management platform. It could be owned by a brand or it could be a third party DMP. There are lot of DMPs which you've spoken about. I mean, who uh, stores and cohorts them with bespoke attributes. So at times when your third party audiences are not able to do the job, or if you're looking at custom audiences to be created and very niche audiences to be created, you go to these. You and there are then there are brands who store their data in the DMP. So every time, I mean, they create their own DMP, they store their data there, whether they have that has got acquired from the means of advertisement or visits to their sites or apps, or their first party data, which is in the form of PI. All of that gets stored in the DMP. So if you need to talk to your own consumer base, say if you want to talk to someone who came to my site, did not convert, or if some he bought my product 3 months back, and I'm trying to him my product again, which is either upscale or a repurchase. And if you want to activate that, then you'll push your DMP audiences to your DSP. Your DSP then will start uh, talking to all the SSPs that I have this audience and I have this requirement. Will you be able to match it? Ad exchanges are again a part of this marketplace. Imagine uh, it's an exchange in the sense I have ads in bulk. These ad exchanges buy ads in bulk and keep them with them. So every time there's a bid request, they will qualify an ad, and the bid every time the bid request gets matched, your ad gets shown. That's as I mean as non-technically as I can explain these three, four things. Uh, more hands and more questions, and we are left with 9 minutes. Then a regular digital campaign also capable to do everything in regular digital. I'm going with Harsimran's question. If programmatic is more efficient than regular digital campaign and is also capable of doing everything that a regular digital campaign can do, then why a client still prefers either a combination or a regular digital campaign? Is it only on the cost for the activity? No, it's not a cost. Programmatic, Harsimran, is relatively new, so the broad contours of programmatic is still getting discovered. I mean, know-how is a real challenge more than what the what the platform or what the ecosystem is capable of. Then yes, there are things you will not be able to do programmatically as well. For example, outside of programmatic social, you'll not be able to buy. I mean, right now, and you could possibly do that 5 years down the line. I don't know how it's getting evolved, but you can't buy social programmatically as of now. You can't do most affiliates and most affiliate based campaigns programmatically, because that's a parallel ecosystem. So there are stuff you'll anyways have to do it. There are stuff which you'll have to do outside of programmatic, but if you're looking at a full funnel approach, if you have an always on approach, programmatic is ideally should be the solution everybody should look at, not just from efficiency and effectiveness standpoint. The fact that will helps you give a single view of your campaign, single view of your consumer, is and thereby you'll be able to uh, apply learnings from one cohort and acquire learnings from one cohort and apply that on the other within that same dashboard. That's the most important thing. Attribution model is spoken about. Aditya, I didn't really get your question. I'm just reading it. DMP is now collecting data from smart TV. Yes, it is. Yeah, DMP has always, I mean, DMP is always capable of, was always capable of collecting data from smart TV. So it has not started now. But yeah, it is becoming a little more evident with the numbers growing. But India being a single TV household market, how specific can this data be? Um, well, it's a good question. So you have two kinds of you have in connected TV, it's a little lopsided. It actually because everything is on a logged in mode, you would actually get the attributes of the one who's owning those. So if my wife and my kid are watching something, it is my attributes which will get stored in a DMP. That's for connected TVs, because everything is connected. If you're not logged in, you'll not be able to watch anything on connected TV. But OTT, again, I mean, in case of YouTube, if it's a non-logged in session, you will not, apparently YouTube, you'll not be able to get any data because that's wall garden. But other video exchanges, you'll be able to get attributes based on what were the parameters passed when the bid was happening. If the SSP had said that it's a 24 to 45 female who has behavioral aspects, and that is how the who had XYZ behavioral aspects, and that's how the bid was qualified, then your the macro which your DMP is carrying will be able to capture those attributes, that this particular impression or this cluster of impression belongs to someone who's a female between 20 to 44, lives in Delhi, is a sports enthusiast.
Got it.
So
Thanks so much.
all the all the questions on the chat are through. I see more hands. One second, let
I
me.
have a basic question, not this one. With all that I've heard from you, are
Mhm.
you trying to say that the planners and the publishers are going to be redundant in some time?
No,
And
no, it's neither the
so,
plan. No, not at all. Not at all. So programmatic, a planner or a publisher has no role to play in how your ad is showing up right now. A planner continues to plan for the objective with the information and the constants he has. A publisher continues to offer the inventory he has in the to someone who wants to buy it. They are not changing, right? It's what this essentially is helping you do is to reach out more audiences in a more precise manner with the help of machine learning and artificial learning. So it's making things more efficient. uh, Imagine, okay, let me give you a situation. So if you're buying if you've done if you do a uh, uh, launch plus sustenance deal with Times of India, wherein you run three impact properties for 3 continuous days, and then you run a ROS kind of inventory for 1 month. Until unless you come pull the report and see that my CTRs have started going down, it will continue to go down. If that gets ignored, and you discover that after 15 days out of the 30-day period you had, your campaign has already suffered. Versus, imagine you setting out rule that every time it reaches a certain threshold, we need to make changes. So optimization becomes much more automated. But who sets the rules? It's the human. It's either a human at the planner's end, or a human at the publisher's end. That's what is changing. Nothing. I mean, no threat to a planner or a publisher by any means.
yeah, no, because where I was coming from is that if this machine is doing everything, and then especially when you are looking at from whether it is a content piece that you are trying to do, an engagement kind of a piece,
Mhm.
uh, with the content at the publisher's end that you are trying to engage with the consumer, then how does this role then change? I mean, does that apply there too, or is that,
No, it does.
yeah.
It does. So
Okay,
Anupama,
आंसर आंसर
Anupama,
सिंपली मशीन का इंसान ही है. प्लानर ही है जो चला रहा है. प्लानर इनपुट दे रहा है इसलिए
exactly.
मशीन चल रही है.
Machine कर रहा है. Machine is the one who's doing it, who's asking him to do it, who's setting those rules that what the machine needs to do. And every time the machine uh, uh, deviates, or because machine can work in one set manner, every time there's a recalibration which needs to happen, who does that again? It's the human. So the role of human is not doing it, and apparently it's the machine who's not. It's machine who's not doing anything. It's just rules being set up, and you would ask your team, your superior, your subordinate to do stuff, and that's how things get done. It's exactly the same. You're asking the machine to do it, and it's doing it for you. If you don't tell him I mean, if you don't give the right instruction what needs to be done, the output will be wrong. If you are not able to predict and see that how the machine is performing is leading towards a disaster or undesired outcome, uh, the output will again be wrong. So human intervention by no means is going away.
Thank you. Well said. Yeah, thanks so much. Now, that was my concern because it's looking all sounding very nice and interesting. And then does that mean that then you put it into a system and then all the algorithms there work behind and get that done? But I think beautifully said. Yeah. So all the planners can be feeling happy and all the publishers can be feeling happy about this. Thank you.
अच्युत एंड निशांत, यार 10 बजे यार, 1 घंटे से बोल रहा हूँ. डू यू स्टिल वांट टू आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस?
Just one
मजाक
question,
कर रहा हूँ,
Aruni, I want to
मजाक कर
ask
रहा हूँ.
you. So this is more from an implementation point of view. So when we make our programmatic plan, we either talk to Amnet or we talk to MIQ. I just wanted to understand your perspective on these two partners, because MIQ charges us a much higher CPM than Amnet does. What is the benefit of going with each one, and why don't we have our own programmatic seat?
वो है ना, Amnet is our own programmatic seat.
I mean in
I
Kara.
If you have a programmatic seat at Densu level, why do you want to discover the wheel, redeploy human being, redeploy resources and efforts for something which is already in existence? MIQ is not a part of our ecosystem. They could be a preferred vendor, but I think Amnet is the one which is preferred and is most ideal. We need to find ways to, and I don't know if it is controversial or not, we need to find ways to work in a more integrated way with them. We need to start demanding a little more from them that I need access as well. I need to see what's happening because if like everything else, if you don't have, if you're not in total control, things tend to go slightly different than what how you want to do, want that to happen. So that qualifies for Amnet as well. We have executed campaigns via Amnet very recently, fairly smooth and zero glitch experience. Does a beautiful job. And it is again, Amnet is a body. Ultimately, uh, you having a DSP also will give you restrictions. Like for example, you can have a DV seat created for Kara hypothetically, but tomorrow someone comes and says that no, I would want a TTD seat to be created because I would want to buy OTT inventory via TTD because that's where I want to capture audiences from, and DV would not let me capture audiences. Then you'll have to again go and get another DSP. So it's a operational and a logistical challenge. But of course, we should go with what we own and what is direct revenue for the organization. So Amnet it is. Nishant, you have a question.
Hi, Aruni. So, with the cookieless world, will there be any difference apart from programmatic guarantee deal and PMP deal if we compare the GDN and programmatic in future?
Yeah, the jury is out there. I mean, there are powerhouses like Google who are trying to create an equivalent system. We all would have heard about Sandbox and the what it is not. But Nishant, what will continue to remain is first party data. And how are we able to segment and cohort? So GDN, which entirely operates on say third party data, could actually be a little impacted if at all. I mean, if there is no replacement or if there is no equivalent to a cookie which is out there. So how do you then work around with first party and second party data only?
Got it. So, I think that the answer will be wait and watch.
Right now the answer is until unless you're talking about blockchains, or until unless you are already investing into building your own infrastructure to capture your first party data, we have nothing else other than wait and watch. Because cookieless challenges are real. See what's happening with Meta on when it comes to the whole iOS ecosystem. Look at what's happening with Safari. So that has started impacting, and and those do not have first party data are already struggling. Meta is struggling.
Yes.
So, are there any more questions? With 5 minutes past our time, I would take that for a no. So
I
thank
guess
you so
people became
much.
quiet after you said 10 o'clock.
Sorry, you became
After you
quiet.
said 10 o'clock, people became quiet. There were so
No,
many
no, no.
questions coming in.
And after that, I clarified. I was just kidding. I was just kidding. But no. Are there any more questions? Is there anything you'd want me to talk about, or any challenges which is being faced right now?
अरुणी बस एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन है ई कॉमर्स या जो भी हम लोग शॉपिंग कैंपेन करते हैं थ्रू गूगल एड्स, ठीक है, तो क्या ये पॉसिबल है कि हम लोग डीवी 360 के थ्रू करें कि बहुत से एडवांस फीचर्स हैं एंड प्रीमियम ऑडियंस,
नहीं,
तो ऐसा
नहीं.
कुछ प्रिविलेज आ रहा है या हो सकता है कुछ?
So you have some interesting placements. You have things like story ads within, I mean, display story ads within programmatic, which is very close to shopping ads, but it doesn't replicate that. And I don't have an answer that whether there's something interesting coming or not.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
Cool. I think quite. Yeah. Thank you so much,
No,
Aruni.
thank you.
Aruni.
Thank
I
you.
think
Thank
we'll
you
have
so much.
another session, I think, in Jan onward with a little more specifics on programmatic and taking this ahead in Jan. So I'll connect with you on that.
Look forward. And thank you so much, Megha, for uh, getting all of us under one call so that we could talk about
No, I'm just happy,
whatever.
Aruni, people are asking questions. I mean, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody asking questions, that's the best part. It's all about, which is why I think we started with a very clear thing कि presentation नहीं करना. अपनी प्रॉब्लम आके
Exactly.
सॉल्व मिल जाएगा तो ठीक है, नहीं मिला तो अभी वापस दुख लेके जाए. तो या बट
हाँ,
आई
दोबारा पूछ लेंगे.
हाँ दोबारा पूछ ले. तो या थैंक यू सो मच एवरीबॉडी एंड थैंक यू अरुणी.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the questions. Really look forward to another session if that happens in January. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Aruni.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Aruni.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.